Hey everyone, it's Tammy Tiller-Hewitt. I want to talk to you today about conducting office manager meetings. Now, when I'm talking about office managers, I mean your physician's office managers or your APP's office managers within the practices that you're responsible for calling on. Now, I'm talking about practices that are employed by your organization, the practices that are independent, and the practices that are even owned by your competition. Because when I'm talking about holding practice manager meetings, or we refer to them at Tiller-Hewitt as OMCs, the Office Manager Councils, what I'm talking about are meetings that are conducted on a frequent cadence, like monthly, where you are talking about things that are important to them, whether or not they include accessing your organization. But oftentimes, this is a vehicle for you to provide information to them as a group about what is going on at your organization that can benefit them. It is not a commercial about your organization, because you will see membership start to dwindle if it's just a commercial. But it's also about topics that they want to hear about, that's interesting to them. And again, you're not going to be getting into what we call the knickers of the operators of your organization. You're not going to get into what they deal with at their practice manager meetings, but it's more about things that you can collectively talk about with this group that would be appealing to the entire group. So on our website, we have just a quick outline on how to start an office manager meeting. Now, for many of you seasoned liaisons, you started office manager councils a long time ago, or office manager groups. They go by different names. But we know, since we're on the other side of the pandemic, that we're going to have to look for creative ways to keep the momentum going in our groups, and we're going to have to go virtual. Now, I happen to prefer Zoom. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is decide on and select a platform, what works best for you. I highly recommend using a platform where everyone's faces can be seen and they can communicate and exchange ideas face to face. There's just something about eyeballs to eyeballs that's a game changer and really helps form relationships and participation. And you can keep an eye on whoever is losing interest on whatever the topic is, just like you could if they were sitting in the same room with you. But other liaisons prefer other platforms. There's a Microsoft platform, but whatever it is, try to get a platform where you can see each other and people can talk and exchange as if they're in the same room. Now, what I like to do if you've not started one, or really even if you have, is to survey your group to get ideas on what they're looking for in a group of peers. Would they like to hear about things that would help them professionally develop, personally develop? Would they just like to have a forum where they network with their peers and ask what practice A is doing about this issue or that? But this will walk you through the entire process of starting a program, whether it's virtual or in person, but it starts with identifying what your objectives are, what your budget needs to be. Now, if you're going to be doing this virtual, your budget's going to include the cost of the platform, but it could also potentially include paying for speakers that you may hire to come and address the group. And then it talks about how you launch it, how you set up agendas, how you survey, and then what are the benefits to the practice managers and what are the benefits to the organization. The beautiful thing about an office manager council is when I was a liaison, I would say if I had to vote on the top 1 or 2 programs that I started that were the most successful, that we got the biggest ROI from, it would definitely be the office manager council. There was never a member of my council that I could never walk right into their practice. You just create a different level of relationship. And I will tell you, long after I left that position, that office manager council stayed strong. So you need to make sure that you're partnering with some strong managers who will also keep the momentum. And sometimes just knowing, Sally and Susie and Chrissy are on this council, that everybody wants to be where they are. So on the back is just a sample invitation and participating or joining the group, but all this is downloadable on our website. So I hope this was helpful. I just want to say, If you haven't started an office manager council, start one. If you have one and have had it for a long time, now may be a time for you to just make sure, check in with all the members. Are we still delivering the value that you want? And I think you're going to have to be looking at moving that to a virtual platform as well. All right, so go out and really connect with your practice managers.